we lose sight of what we're actually chasing. What's the end goal? What are we actually after? Their why is not big enough, or it's the wrong why. Is the journey that you're on sustainable? People don't want to see you change because they don't want to change. Truth is, you don't feel like you're worth it. We see people who maybe they haven't been losing weight for a really long time, and then they finally hire a coach and they start losing the weight and they start feeling good. But behind the curtain, they're really struggling mentally and physically because it's too extreme. Their calories are too low and their training is way too high. It's only a matter of time before they decide to throw in the towel again. Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. I'm your host, Katherine, and today's episode is in response to my mother and her weight loss and health journey over the years. And I'm not going to lie, I actually think she is the reason why I got into this industry in the first place. So, back in middle school, she used to go to the gym like every day, and I started doing track, and I quickly realized how much I loved the way running made me feel, and so I decided to start going to the gym with her. And it was from a very young age, like 13, 14 years old, that I fell in love with going to the gym, just how it made me feel. So yeah, my mom was a great example as a kid. She was always making us like healthy food and going to the gym, and we were, into all the activities. So my parents very much instilled and promoted living a healthy lifestyle. But looking back over the years, over the last, 20 plus years that I was able to, remember this, she tried many different diets, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, this is the world that we live in today. People are introducing these new diets left and right. And now that we have the social media platforms that we do, it's so easy to learn of a new diet or learn of this new exercise or protocol in which it sparks our interest. And we want to try it out. And my mom and some of her friends, they would get on that bandwagon. They would ride some of those trends. They would try it out. I remember going to some Weight Watchers meetings with her when I was in high school, and I was very intrigued with how it all worked. But it just got me thinking about how sometimes women are too quick to jump on all of the new health and fitness trends, and they don't stop long enough to ask themselves, what am I actually chasing here? What is the end goal? So this episode is in response to every person who has struggled with sustaining their weight or their workout routine or whatever it is that they want to sustain. And they've either never met their goal, or they met their goal, but they were unable to keep it off, or they're unable to maintain it. Because a lot of times I think we lose sight of what we're actually chasing. What's the end goal? What are we actually after? So oftentimes when we see this happen, when people fall off and they're not able to get back on, or they just keep trying different diet after diet and different exercise and they're not seeing the results, I think this happens for a few different reasons. Number one, their why is not big enough, or it's the wrong why. Again, back to that, what are they chasing? They don't quite know why it is they're doing this new nutrition program, or why it is they're spending hours in the gym. Their why is not big enough. The number two reason is their journey is way too complicated. And we see this, unfortunately, too many times in the gym. We see women who come in and they say, I want to lose 50 pounds. And I'm going to work out every day, and I'm going to cut out carbs, and I'm going to eat 1 gram of protein, or one gram of protein per pound. And they get so specific with all of the things that they're going to do, and they get to doing it maybe 3-4 days in, and they're like, I can't do this. I can't sustain it. Well, yeah, because your journey is too complicated. You're supposed to enjoy the journey. No one's going to enjoy making so many significant changes. You're not going to feel great. And the number three reason, I think it's because you don't feel like you're worth it. And unfortunately, a lot of moms, I'm a mom, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and there are days where I can use them as the excuse and as the reason. And there are days where I'm telling myself that sad dialogue. I'm not worth this workout today. I'm not worth eating healthy and meal prepping for myself. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth going to bed early so I can wake up feeling refreshed because I need to do all these other things. Someone else needs me. I have to take care of them. And we're putting everyone else's needs before our own. And, it's sometimes labeled as being selfish, and the mom guilt, it all creeps in. Like, we don't feel worthy of getting up and going to the gym and having that meat and tie. We don't feel worthy of going and getting the massage or getting our nails done. And all the things that we want to do that are in the back of our mind, we don't feel worthy of it. And when people fail time after time like this, and in any of these areas, whether it's your why not being big enough, or your journey is just too complicated, or you don't feel like you're worth it, it just leaves you wondering, what are we actually chasing? And can you answer that question? If you're listening to this right now, I want you to ask yourself that question. What are you chasing right now? Are you chasing the wrong thing? Are you chasing the right thing? Is the journey that you're on sustainable? Is it really the number on the scale that you're chasing? Or is it this feeling that you're trying to achieve? No matter your answer, you need to be able to define what your why is, or it will likely never happen. You'll never achieve that feeling. You'll never achieve that goal. So people who set these goals, have these loosely adopted expectations that they never meet because they lose sight of the why. They lose sight of the why they actually wanted to do this in the first place. So today I have put together 5 reasons why people can't seem to keep their weight off when they undergo a weight loss journey, how we can avoid that and actually reach our health goals. All right, so our number 1 is unsustainable diets. We kind of already touched on this already, but restrictive eating, midi diets are way too restrictive. They lead to a sense of deprivation, and then it's hard to maintain in the long term. They also have a lack of balance, diets that cut out entire food groups or drastically reduce calorie intake. They can be challenging to stick with over time. Some diets that I've tried over the years that kind of fit in those categories is like keto. I love carbs too much. I'm not ashamed to say it. I just cannot stick with it. It's not something that I have felt good on. It's not something that I've really given it enough time. I know there are benefits, but it's just not something that I am willing to sustain. So I have to accept that and never do it. Like, never try it again. It's just not for me, at least in this season of life that I'm in. A second one I've tried is intermittent fasting. And truthfully, I was just depressed and not a fun person to be around when I was intermittent fasting. I love my coffee in the morning with some creamer. I don't want to drink black coffee. No. My husband is so good at intermittent fasting, and we've done some little challenges together where we have tried this, and he always wins because I just don't want it bad enough. I don't want to do that to myself. Plus, I like to work out in the morning, and so when I work out, doing a strength workout on an empty stomach, a lot of times I feel weak. So intermittent fasting just isn't for me, and I am not going to do that right now. So I'm not going to do one of those unsustainable diets. So I want you to ask yourself, what kind of diet protocols have you tried? Which ones have worked for you? Why did they work? And then which ones have not worked? And why did they not work? And for the ones that did work, if you're not doing it right now, why? Why are you not doing it? Why are you trying to do something else? But then also, how complicated is it? Is it simplified in a way that you can sustain this in the long run? Because if you can't, no matter if it worked or not, it's not the diet for you if you cannot sustain it. Some things that have worked for me is counting macros and calories and tracking it in the FitBody Nutrition app. Those have worked for me tremendously, and it is something that people can sustain with very little restriction. My advice to you, if you are going to start tracking, if you haven't already, if you've never done tracking before, is to just continue to eat like you have and start tracking what you're currently doing, because you're not going to know what your deficit is or what you need to cut out on if you don't even know what you're currently at. So my advice before you make any changes is do that. Then once you know roughly what your current macros are, you can tweak it, but also don't slash your calories drastically right away, or you're going to be hangry all the time. And then also hire a coach or get somebody that you know that's trusted and has the results to show for it that can help you in this journey, because even coaches need coaches. I need a coach. I need someone to hold me accountable. I need somebody to look at what I'm doing, tell me like, oh, should I tweak it? Should I do this differently? It's always great to have a second set of eyes and someone that can coach you and motivate you. All right, our number 2 is metabolic adaptation. So this is when your metabolism slows down. So weight loss can lead to a slower metabolism as the body adapts to the lower calorie intake. The body becomes more efficient at conserving energy, making it easier to regain weight as well. We see this a lot with middle-aged women and post-menopausal women at the gym, and they've done the same thing for so long when it comes to their nutrition, and they think that less is better, so they don't actually lose any weight, and they end up frustrated and confused. Oftentimes, people in this category, they need to start strength training, or if they're already strength training, they need to likely lift heavier. Like they're saying that they're lifting weights, but they're doing squats with a 10-pound dumbbell. So they're not really getting the strength and resistance training that their body needs. And a lot of times what we need to do is we need to look at their current training protocol, and we also need to look at their basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories they are burning at rest. And we need to compare it to what they're intaking every day. How many calories are they consuming? What is their protein, and just kind of figure out what's happening and what has been happening over the last few years. And this is something that takes time, which many people, they don't want to be patient. They want quick results. We all want to see results very quickly. And unfortunately, that is the number one reason why people don't sustain their weight loss journey, is because they're not seeing results and they don't give it time. So they move on to something else, and then it might not be the right thing that they should be doing. That's something else. When you do figure out what's going on, and you do figure out how to get your body back into that fat burning zone, back into that zone where you're building muscle, if you have trouble sustaining that, however you got there, you've got to ask yourself the question, am I going to be able to do this in the long run? And if the answer is no, then this program is probably not for you. And unfortunately, we see that a lot. We see people who maybe they haven't been losing weight for a really long time, and then they finally hire a coach and they start losing the weight and they start feeling good. But behind the curtain, they're really struggling mentally and physically because the protocol that they're on is too extreme. Their calories are too low and their training is way too high. And it's only a matter of time before they decide to throw in the towel again because they can't sustain this. So whatever protocol or whatever exercise program that you decide to adopt that's going to help you get out of that metabolic adaptation phase, it has to be something that's going to work for you in the long run. It's not going to be the quick fix. I'll just tell you that right now. It's not going to be the program that you lose 10 pounds in week 1. It's going to be the program where you lose 10 pounds in the first 6 weeks, because that is one that you can actually sustain with. And you can't answer this question after 2 weeks. You can't answer the question of, is this for me within just 2 weeks? You're going to have to give it time. All right, the number 3 reason why people can't seem to keep the weight off and to sustain their weight loss journey is behavioral and psychological factors. So we have emotional eating, stress eating, emotional issues, or boredom. A lot of times leads to overeating and weight gain. And then also just habits. People revert to old bad habits, eating habits and lifestyle habits once they reach their weight loss goals. I always find it very funny that when people are on like a weight loss journey, they cut out alcohol or they cut out sweets. And that's the thing that they reward themselves with when they reach that goal. It doesn't make any sense. If you cut out ice cream and you reached your goal, why would you reintroduce eating ice cream every week? It doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, that's what people do. And again, it goes back to that, how'd you maintain it? How'd you sustain it? You have to continue to do that. When people stress eat, it's a lot of times not about the food. It's about the current event happening in life. So don't look at food as the enemy. Look at the situation that you're in. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, but you're highly stressed at work, your sleep is crappy, and you're sitting in front of the computer all day, don't blame yourself for wanting to eat and not stay consistent with your workouts. Blame the situation that you have put yourself in. You need to get out of that situation first in order to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. What are you chasing? Again, what are you chasing here? Is it the journey? Is it the healthy lifestyle? Happiness, health, and longevity? It's not the food. It's the stress that you need to fix. It's this lifestyle that you are living right now that is setting you up for failure. Stop blaming superficial obstacles and blame the root cause of it all and fix the root cause, because once you fix that, you're not going to have that emotional dysregulation, the emotional eating, and those habitual patterns that you're going to revert back to that you did when you were stressed, when you were burnt out, when you were unhappy. You're not going to do that when you fix the root cause. All right, number 4 is the lack of long-term support and planning. And unfortunately, I see this more times than I can even count. An insufficient support system, so a lack of ongoing support from your friends and your family or anybody that you are spending time with, can hinder your maintenance efforts when it comes to your health and fitness journey. So here's an example for you. You start working out, postpartum, you had a baby, you want to lose 40 pounds, and you start going to the gym 5 days a week, and you're looking good, you're feeling good, but then every single weekend, your significant other or your best friends, they're dragging you into unhealthy situations. And unfortunately, these people are not going to help you stay on track with your maintenance and with your workouts. They're not going to help you stay on track. It's going to take some serious willpower to be in social situations with people like that and stay on track with your goals. I am not saying it's impossible, but it is going to take a lot of effort on your part to sustain any weight loss and health journey when you surround yourself with people that are trying to pull you away. Lack of support from your friends and family is a byproduct of any life change that you are trying to make, and it may be really uncomfortable. Because the truth is, people don't want to see you change, because they don't want to change. They want to keep you just as you are. They want to put you in that box and they want to lock you up and they want to keep you there. They want you to conform to their standards and their life because they don't want to be uncomfortable and they don't want to do any changing themselves. And sometimes the changes that you make that are bettering yourself are going to make them feel uncomfortable, and it's awkward, and I understand. But in order to make any significant changes in life in which you're going to be able to show up as your best self, you have got to close that box. You have to close that door. All right, I know that was a little intense, but I'm very passionate about this because I have been there, I have seen it, and I have gotten so good at drowning out the noise of people that are not helping me get to where I want to be. Stop making excuses for your friends and family too. Stop making excuses for them. Don't say, oh, well, my mother, she's really overweight and she has type 2 diabetes and she has all of these things, but she has this, and that going on. And so there's no way that she can get healthy. Don't make excuses for them. They can make their own excuses, but you can't make excuses for them. Okay? Because you don't want to do that for yourself. You are on this health journey. You're on this journey to better yourself, and you're just going to focus on that. And again, the truth is they don't want it bad enough. So if you have people like that in your life, spend time with them, but just know that they are going to sometimes try to pull you away from that journey that you're on, and you cannot let them. All right, my number 5 is physical and hormonal changes. Weight loss can increase hunger hormones, and it can make it harder to stick to a lower calorie intake. The body also may try to set a weight range in which it's very comfortable with, making it challenging to maintain this new lower weight. When you have hormonal changes or physical changes such as pregnancy and postpartum, it can be hard to stay on a path towards getting healthy and staying there. I get it, especially if you're breastfeeding or, again, you're in that postmenopausal stage of life. Your hormones are going to come crashing down and try to prevent you from losing weight, or if you have lost weight, it's going to try to prevent you from sustaining it. I've had 2 postpartum journeys myself, and neither one of them were the same. And I'm blessed that I had healthy pregnancies, but I know people who did not and who were bedridden and then had a horrible postpartum journey for the entire year after. This is easy to use as an excuse when trying to get healthy, but it can also become the reason. You're chasing this version of yourself that feels good despite the physical changes your body is going through. You're not chasing a quick fix here. You're chasing a healthy lifestyle for eternity. If you're a woman listening to this, unfortunately, many of us are going to go through, or we might be going through, these hormonal up and downs, and we go through it for decades, if not our entire life. So this is just something that we have to learn how to deal with and stop using it as an excuse and use it as the reason. There are many women who say they have belly fat and they can't lose it because of hormones. Actually, that's false. You can. You're just going to have to figure out a new way, a different way that is going to tap into what your body is capable of. So that goes back to hiring a coach, finding the right program, finding the right nutrition protocol for you, not the one that you found on Instagram from the influencer that has 500,000 followers, who's actually never had a baby, who's never gone through the postmenopausal journey that you have. You have to find that specific program that's going to work for you. And we're not chasing the quick fix. We're chasing the long-term healthy lifestyle. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that those 5 things helped you in your weight loss and health journey. And just as a recap, we have to avoid these unsustainable diets. We need to figure out how our body is not going to metabolically adapt to burning less calories. We need to get our body into a fat burning zone. Number 3, we have to figure out what the behavioral and psychological factors that are going on in our life and how they are affecting our weight loss and our health journey. We're going to have to squash that emotional eating, the scrolling Netflix and eating a whole pint of ice cream. We've got to figure out how to stop doing that. Number 4, we have to find the long-term support that we need from our friends and our family, our coaches. We need to surround ourselves with people that are going to help us towards our goals. And then number 4, we have to figure out how to combat these physical and hormonal changes going on in our lives. If you're a woman listening to this, because unfortunately the hormones, it's inevitable, but we can figure out a way to tap into our body's true potential, burn fat, and live the healthiest lifestyle that we desire. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode. Make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and share this episode with all of your friends. Until next time, thanks so much.